Hello and welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm. I'm your host, Roger Knecht, President of Universal Accounting Center. This is a show dedicated to helping owners actually build what I refer to as the premier accounting firm in the area. It's where we discuss things related to marketing, selling, pricing, clients, relationships, client onboarding. We're talking about mental health, staff training, tech stacks, just a variety of the things that you need to consider as you're running your business and building what I refer to as the premier accounting firm. For more than 20 years, 2 decades, I've been working with accounting firm owners to actually help them start, build successful businesses. And I expect to share with you today, even some of those insights, as we have on the show an expert, somebody that's literally doing this himself. And it's someone that I'm excited to have on the show because he, like me, also hosts a podcast. This is Ralph Estep Jr. He is someone that really does a great job, not only of just running his own business, but bringing faith into the equation. It's something we're going to be diving into shortly. So first and foremost, Ralph, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Roger. You certainly ticked off a laundry list of things we're going to cover today. So I'm excited about the opportunity.
Well, it's a lot that we all have to do as we run our business. So what we're going to do is dive into a few of the essentials that I think you and I find to be important. So let's get a little bit of your journey and start with your start or introduction to accounting. Why become an accountant in the first place?
So for me, it all started when I was 8 years old. And you might say, Ralph, did I just hear him correctly? Did he say 8 years old? Yeah, my dad's an accountant. So coffee table or dinner table discussions at our house were all about the accounting firm. In fact, I can remember being about 8 years old when he trained me how to actually copy tax returns. So I sort of got that indoctrination, if you will, when I was younger. And like I said, dinner table talk was, well, this client did this and this client did that. And we've got this IRS audit going on and I'm doing this for this one. So it was kind of the natural thing for me to do that. And so that's what I did. And I started my own practice now. It's going on 20 years ago, but I've worked in the field now for plus 30 years.
So one of the things that I find fascinating is, yes, 8 years old, but it's obvious that many people in the accounting profession come because they were, let's say, associated or introduced to it through family or friends. It was just something, like you indicated, around the dinner table that you just kind of saw and you were like, well, that sounds like a logical thing for me to do as a career. So you pursued that. But there's a distinction between this is something I like to do as a profession, and it's another thing to say, I want to start a business. So take us to that point where, yes, you've gotten the skills, you've got the training. Why start a business?
So Roger, I'm going to send you for a loop. I'm the accountant that hates working with numbers. And you might say, Ralph, that's insane. How can you say that? Because I believe life's all about relationships. And I recognized early on that my goal in life is to make lifelong relationships with my clients. That was my goal. And I said, look, my purpose in life is to help people improve their finances. My purpose in life, and I do a Christian-based financial podcasting show. So my goal is to try to merge those two worlds. So I started my own business because I wanted to work with people. I wanted to work with individuals. I wanted to work with those people who had that dream of starting that small business, leaving corporate world. And, maybe as a plumber, maybe as an HVAC guy, maybe it's a freelancer. And I wanted to be that person. They called it, hey, let me ask Ralph that question. That's why, the name of my show is Ask Ralph. And it's pretty simple. So that was really the reason behind it. And I knew I had a good skill set. I'm not being arrogant and saying that, but I'm really good at what I do. And it pays the bills. But bigger than that, it opened up the doors to build these lifelong relationships. So Roger, that really is the reason that I got into it. In the journey, I started off working for my dad's accounting firm. And I said, the two of us didn't get along real well. So I said, well, this isn't working. So I decided to go and do other things. I was actually an executive vice president for a credit union for 4 years. I left there. I went to work for a law firm as their controller. That was kind of fun. I left there. I went to work for a software company. And then I found myself always being pulled back into this public accounting realm. So I ended up going back to work for my dad again. And he and I, again, we butted heads. And I said, this isn't working. So I launched my own practice back in 2005. So next year we'll celebrate 20 years being in practice for myself. And it's just worked. As a Christian guy, I believe God has set us a purpose. And I truly believe that my purpose is to help people impact, because I think about it like this, right? We all study the hierarchy of needs, right? You got that baseline hierarchy of needs. You need to pay, you need to have a place to sleep. You need to have food, clothing, and shelter. But my goal in my practice is to help people get to those higher level where they're looking at self-actualization. And the way I do that is I help them get themselves, either their business or their personal, set up for financial success. So that's a long answer to a basic question, Roger. Sorry if I took you down a rabbit hole there.
No, you actually touched on a number of things that I think we can dive into. I hope we get into each of these. Ones, you're clearly addressing Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You've got that
Absolutely.
foundational element of the needs, but you've got the pinnacle of it all where you actually have self-actualization, realizing you have something to give back. And that's very powerful. In running a business, I'm going to go to the beginning. It is a personal thing, but at the same time, it's a people thing. And I like how you brought that into the discussion here, that if you care about your customers and you service them using the skills that you have, you'll have lifelong relationships, both personal and professional ones. And at a professional level, you can actually impact them for good. You can actually help them find the success that they were looking for. And if you can be instrumental in that, it's going to come around to you, because one of the things that you learn in business is if you help other people achieve their goals, their financial objectives, they will help you in turn achieve your own. And so serving is very much a very key part of it. And that brings us back to faith. We're going to talk about faith and purpose and just a variety of things. So let me go to the personal side of things.
Sure.
When you're talking about individuals and building relationships, clearly when you're out marketing and selling and you're trying to represent your services, when you do it from the standpoint of, I care about you, I'm interested in you, I'm interested in your business, I feel your quality of work improves immensely. Rather than you just going through the motions of doing the accounting, you realize I'm really impacting this person's livelihood, the success of their business. I'm going to pay particular attention to what I'm doing and make sure it's useful to them as they're running their company. How do you feel that's changed your relationship because you have personal relationships with your clients? How do you feel that impacts the quality of the work that you're providing?
I think that's the key. I'll give you a quick story. So about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I hired a public relations firm. I wanted to really take my practice to the next level. My dad did some things that were made him look bad in the public arena, so I wanted to really kind of rebrand myself. And I sat down with this guy. He was a sole practitioner, public relations guy. He's sitting across the table from me, and he says, "Ralph, what business are you in?" And I said, "Well, I'm in the tax business." He goes, "No, that's not the answer." I said, "Okay, I got it. I got it. I'm in the accounting business." He goes, not really. And I said, "Okay, I got it. I know the answer now. I'm in the consulting business." And he said, "No, not exactly." I said, "All right, well, then tell me what I'm in." He said, "You're in the relationship business." And see, successful business people, I don't care whether you're an attorney, if you're an accountant, whatever that is, when you realize that the key to success in business is developing that relationship. I went to the Dale Carnegie training as an
Mhm.
example. One of the things we learn in that is to take a genuine interest in people. So when I have a client come in, a new client, the first thing I want to do, I want to build a house around them. I want to know who they are. What are their kids? What are they married? What are their purposes? What are their dreams? Because guess what? What we sell as accountants is a commodity. I said this before, any monkey could put numbers on a paper. That's just the truth, right? But what we bring to the table, if we're effective in what we're doing, is we build that relationship. We show people how to get to that purpose. That we talked about that self-actualization. That's really the key. If you know it's a relationship, like for example, I'm married, right? I got to take care of my wife, right? That's a relationship that I value. I'm going to make sure I do the right things. Now we'll celebrate 24 years being married next week, which is a fantastic thing.
Congratulations.
But it's not always been easy. If you're married, it's not easy, right? It's a daily decision, right? And so I'm going to say the same thing about your accounting practice. Every day you've got to decide to treat your customers better than yourself. And it might sound kind of counterintuitive, but if you've got a relationship with that customer, your work is going to be better because you know the impact of that. You know that if they don't succeed in their business, first of all, we're not going to succeed as the accountant because they're going to not have the money to pay us. But secondarily, we realize that there's more to it than just, are they selling widgets? No, it's a dream. It's so they can put their child in college. It's so they can put away for retirement. So, Roger, to me, it's all about building that relationship because that makes the product so much better because then it's not just a commodity. It's not just, well, here's your tax return. Have a nice day. It's here's your tax return. Here's the value I added to that because I showed you how to save money. I've talked to you about putting aside in a 403B or a 401k plan or in a simple IRA. See, because you can go to H&R Block and go to one of these other, quick tax places and they'll prepare a tax return. And for the most part, they're accurate, right? But have they given you any value? And have they given you ideas of how to make things better? And that's what I say when I say it's all about the relationship. That's what it's about, helping people get to that next level. And maybe it's a small step. I was walking this morning. I walk my dogs here around the farm in the morning, and I was listening to a podcast. A friend of mine, he has a podcast called Walking is Fitness, and he said something I think was really profound. He said, "Did you know that in your lifetime, you will walk 265 million steps. And think about that for a second. And then he said, well, that's 110,000 miles. Then I said, okay, well, what does that mean? That's 5 times around the globe. And Roger, what I'm going to say to you and everybody listening is, do you know what you're doing with those steps, or they just happen? And that's what I'm saying, is being intentional with those steps. Every interaction with a client, every interaction with a potential client is a decision of, am I going to be intentional in that? Well, if your goal is to build a relationship, then everything you do is intentional. For example, in my practice, we're all about electronics. We use a product called Zendesk. We use a ticketing system. So if you do business with me, you're always going to know where your product is. You know where your tax return is, because you're going to get an email update. You can interact with me right away, because one of the biggest frustrations I've heard is people say, yeah, I dropped off my stuff at the accountant and I don't hear from them for months. And I know you hear this, Roger, right? People are like, they're frustrated. I don't hear from my accountant. So in building an effective relationship, I use tools to do that. I use another product called Smart Vault, so that all their documentation is right there. I say this to them when I meet with a new client. I say, look, it's Saturday afternoon. You're out with your kids. You're at a shop and you want to buy a boat, right? And the finance guy says, okay, well, I need a copy of your tax return from last year. Well, cool. I'm going to give you a tool that you can go right on the Smart Vault and give it to them right then and there. So, Roger, I guess that's my answer to your question.
Well, what you're describing here is a relationship. It's the fact that what you're building is something that's going to have value. And here's how I'm going to describe it. The lifetime value of a client from an accounting perspective is described as 7 years. Well, it's 7 years, not because you're interacting with them once in a while as needed. You're responsive in the sense that if they need something, they call you. No, it's a proactive relationship. It's something that you have genuine interest in their well-being and success. And as you were describing it, it's not just simply I'm giving them the financial reports and helping them be profitable for the sake of I'm done. It's for the sake of, yes, they can invest in their future. They can pay for their college. They can buy the car. They can actually plan for retirement. These are the things that are impacting their lives and livelihoods. And if you engage proactively with your clients, they'll actually experience something that they're perhaps not experiencing from anyone else. And it's the fact that you care. And there's a statement that I live by, which says, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. That is so important, because if you show a curiosity and interest in their success, they're going to feel as if they have someone on their side. They're not going to feel alone. And I'm very much a proponent of the fact that as a business owner, we always hear the adage that it's lonely at the top. Well, one of the things that's very true is, of all the people in the business that knows what's going on, the accountant should know, and probably does know, more than anyone else in the organization other than the owner, and possibly more than the owner, because of the perspective they have. And here's my point. If it's going well, the business owner may not want their spouse to know, because they could end up spending things that they ought not. If it's going not successfully or well, they probably don't want their spouse to know, because it's unnecessary stress in the relationship. And the same is with management. If things are going phenomenally well, do I really want to be bragging about that to my management team? But at the same time, if things are struggling, could it be that the management team's the challenge? I mean, there's a lot of things going on in the organization that the accountant may very well know and be the only one who does know. So if you're willing to take on that kind of relationship, as we're discussing today, you can have a profound impact in your client's success. And I think it really kind of, let's say, comes through in the numbers that you're producing, the reports that you're providing. So I love this part of the conversation. So I'm going to change it now.
Sure.
Let's get away from the relationship that we're having with the clients. And you brought up earlier purpose. And because of the faith base that you're bringing this through, the lens by which you see it, I'm going to add to that, because I truly believe, from a God focus, there are talents that we're all endowed with. There are things that we are given as individuals to bless other people's lives. It's not for our benefit. It's for those that we can service. And in a faith-based world, I think you would agree with me that service becomes a very big or key component of our interactions with our fellow man. How would you feel passion, service, and talents correlate in the accounting space?
Oh, I think they're huge, because I'll tell you my personal story, right? So about 2 years ago, I turned 50. And I'm sitting there one day and I'm sitting at my desk and I'm thinking, Ralph, what is your purpose? Like, you're good at what you're doing. You're making a good paycheck. I had a nice Rolex watch. I had a Corvette out in the driveway and an Escalade, and I had all these things. And I said, oh, these are nice. These are nice things. But guess what, Roger? They didn't matter to me anymore. Like, my bank account was full, but my emotional bank account was empty. And then I lost my mom last March, and I was sitting in the hospital bed as she had a glioblastoma brain tumor. And she didn't last long, but she was a faithful lady, and she raised me from when I was a young guy. My mom and dad split up when I was 8, and I can still remember the last thing my dad said on his way out the door was, "Well, you're now man of the house." So when my mom passed away, it's like I finally had this relief, like I didn't have to be man of the house anymore. I felt like there was a job I had to do. So now it's like, okay, Ralph, well, what is your purpose? Why are you here? And I think that once you get to a point where you start to question that, then as an accountant, like it doesn't matter how much is in your bank account anymore. It doesn't matter the stuff that you have. Now, I'm not saying don't have nice stuff. I got really nice stuff. I got a 30-acre Black Angus cow farm. I love it. God has blessed me in more ways than I can even imagine to say today on the show. But I came back to, Ralph, what is your purpose? And it's what you talk about when you say service. Because guess what? You can have all of this stuff, but if you don't have those relationships, you don't have that connection, you don't feel like what you're doing makes an impact. I was doing my podcast show a couple months ago, and it's a daily thing. So it's a grind someday, man. Like it's a 10 or 15 minute thing, but it's a job, right? And I was getting kind of down. I was like, I don't feel like I'm connecting with people. And then I got an email. This lady said this to me. She goes, Ralph, it's like you were talking to me today. Dude, you could have written me a check for $1 million and it wouldn't be as valuable as that email I got. That's service. That's somebody I'm connecting to. I don't care what you do in life. Fill your bank account's great. Guess what? You're going to be empty. It's all about that service. It's what you give back. Because like you said, Roger, and I 100% agree with you. God has given you talents. He's given you things that you're really good at. Well, you can use them. And I could have been the most nefarious, like wealthiest dude in the world. But then that purpose is you're going to stand before Christ one day. I'm going to get a little religious here, but you're going to stand before Christ. You're going to say, Ralph, what did you do with your life? And then you say, well, I did this and I did this. Oh, that's nice. You bought a new boat. You paid for your kids' education. You did, okay, but what did you accomplish? And I'm hoping I'm going to stand there. I'm going to say, I impacted these people. And I impacted them because now, guess what? They plan for retirement. So now that they've retired, they're missionaries. Or they plan for retirement. I have an older lady. She just passed away a couple months ago. She lived to be 99 years old, Roger. She came to meet with me that was like 15 years ago. And she goes, how can I make sure that I leave something for my church? When she died, the place was packed. It wasn't with her friends. She was 99. Her friends were already gone. But her place was packed. The service was packed because she impacted so many people. She spent money every month to send money to missionaries. She built this for the church. She was the biggest person that did, that benefactory stuff, the stuff that people needed help. To me, that's what it's all about. When if you can focus that on your purpose, and if you can make that your goal in your accounting practice, if you stop measuring how much is in your bank account and you start measuring what's in your emotional bank account, look, that's the truth about life. Because see, here's the deal. Life is a journey. It's not a destination. Because what you're going to find is you're going to think, oh, well, once I make $1 million, that's my destination. Oh, then it's like, oh, but once I have this many clients or once I do this. And once you get to that point, I got to that point, Roger, I'm sitting at my desk looking out over a brand new Corvette. And I'm not saying this to brag, Roger. Don't misunderstand me. I look down at my Rolex watch and I go, Ralph, there's got to be more than this. And see, that's when it clicked with me. It's all about the journey. Well, what's the journey all about? It's about those people you meet along the way. It's those relationships. I have clients come into me and time again, this is the number one chief complaint they say, Ralph, my accountant didn't ever tell me that. My accountant never took the time to have a conversation. My wife died and my accountant never even called me. And that's the beauty of life. And if you got a purpose, like if you live under a purpose, the only person that's measuring that is you at that point. And let me tell you right now, some of the most unhappy people I met are the most wealthy people I know.
Oh, very, very true.
They're very happy. Oh, they think they're happy because they got a boat, they got a plane, they got this, the vac. You know what? And they're empty vessels. So it's all about service, Roger, but it's bigger than even service. It's all about building those. I keep going back to it and I apologize, but it's all about that journey. It's building those relationships and getting to that higher level of needs. And that's all about service because that's all that's going to matter. At the end of the day, when you look back at your life, no one's going to say, well, that Roger, man, he worked 7 days a week for 40 years. No, they're going to say, look at Roger's kids. Those are solid kids. Look at Roger's grandkids. Those are solid kids because you invested the time in them. Same thing with your customers. I've been to other accountants' funerals where there were people that were directly impacted by the work that that accountant did that accountant never even met. And that's what it's really all about, Roger. It's all about service. And when you realize that, then you will start to click and your business will go up because it's not that measurement. If you focus on that, how much is in the bank account, how many clients I have, you are going to be disappointed. You're going to get to that destination and go, this sucks. This isn't the ticket I bought.
Yep. I'm going to jump in here because there's a number of things that you've touched on that I'd really like to add to.
Sure.
First of all, it is the journey. I do feel that one of the things that we have to recognize is that what we're doing here impacts a lot of people's lives. And there's a few levels to all of this. First of all, there are two great commandments, loving God and loving your fellow man. And one of the things that we have to understand is that we are given opportunities to serve one another. And if we actually realize that two things cost no money, the ability to say thank you and the ability to smile costs us nothing, but yet it can elevate people's lives. It can validate them. It can give them a sense of self-worth that they were at least noticed and recognized. If we can, as individuals, take and help every one of those interactions that we're having with people on a daily basis and have people leave the interactions that we're having with them in a positive way in which they're able to say, wow, I am glad I met Ralph today. Wow, I'm so happy I heard Roger today. If they can actually leave that experience feeling like their lives were edified, then we're doing a good deed in our interactions. Now, as it relates to family and friends and clients, you're right. There's a legacy there. And one of the things that we have to understand is that if we're in a position of, with our talents, that we can improve other people's lives, that's where we're going to be blessed. And there's a number of ways I can illustrate this, but one that's coming to mind, I was just at Disney this last week. I'm going to bring up the movie Coco. Coco is a great illustration of the fact that even once we're gone, people who are thinking about us and reminiscing about us, the legacy that we leave is so profound. And that woman that you mentioned that at 99 passed away and had so many people in her congregation, that's a testament to the fact that she was impacting people that she probably didn't even realize. And in many ways, I don't even think she would understand to what level she impacted them. But yet that's a legacy, and it's a legacy that's going to go on, not for days, not for weeks, but for years. Look at us. We're already today talking about her service that was in memory of her, and yet I didn't even meet her. And yet I'm grateful for her because as human beings, if we do that, the world's a better place. And I'm going to end with this one thing. You're right, empty vessels. There are a lot of people out there that are very successful, but at the end of the day, they are just basically aimless and they don't have purpose. They don't understand their why. And having served in a third world country, I saw people who had nothing. I'm talking about dirt floors. I'm talking about a tin roof. I'm talking about a single room where their bed, their kitchen, that's what everything existed, or where everything existed for them, with flies flying around. And at the end of the day, guess what? They were happy. They laughed. They smiled. They loved life. Yes, it was a challenge. Yes, it was a burden. It was something that they dealt with, but they had basically love in their hearts. And when you feel that and you realize it doesn't take all this material wealth to be successful and happy, it's just recognizing the blessings that we have, that we can acknowledge God in our lives and be grateful for what we're given. If you can live life with gratitude, I think that is the key to happiness. And so that's really a key part of my existence. So is there anything you would add to that?
No, I would just say, one of the things I talked about on my show a couple of weeks ago is actually starting every day with 3 things you're grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think people in America don't get it.
Yeah.
They don't get how fortunate we are to have running water.
Nope.
They don't get how fortunate we are that electric usually works when it comes to your house. My aunt and uncle were missionaries in Haiti and Grenada and down in, they were on the, I think it was called the Mercy ships or something like this.
Yeah. I know what you're referring
and
to.
And they were telling me, they were like, Ralph, you don't understand. And they both passed away at this point, but they went into prison ministry. You don't understand, Ralph, what it's like to you don't have running water. You have a mud floor, but they're grateful for what they have. In this country, give me a break. People in America have no concept of what poverty looks like. For the most part. I'm not going to say they don't have any concept of that.
No.
But their perspective is so jaded, Roger, because they see what, and I won't go on a tangent, but that's the other part of this. I talk about empty vessels. People are so addicted to this social media. What does this person have? What does this person have? And that's the comparison point. And if you're looking for that, you're always going to find somebody has more than you.
Yeah. Well, I agree. We can go off on a tangent here, but from an accounting perspective, it's basically being grateful for what we have and the talents that we have. Are we blessing and serving others? It is more than just a job. The skill we have isn't just taking numbers and making them appear as, let's say, P&Ls or balance sheets. It's actually now helping that business owner use this information to run their business more intelligently. So I'm loving the fact that we've talked about the personal side of this. I like that we brought faith into it. Clearly, we're showing that we have this journey we're on where we're able to have a legacy. So the next thing I want to dive into is with regards to your business. How does having a ranch, running the business that you have with the cows, impact your business as it relates to the accounting services? What perspective does that give you, being a business owner of something other than the accounting firm offer you as you work with your clients?
Well, I think it brings me as a more well-rounded person. And what I mean by that is when somebody comes in to meet with me, I'm not just this bean counter that has a calculator and can make up nice fancy reports. I've worked in a credit union. I know what it's like to help people with their credit. I know what it looks like to get a mortgage. I know what it's like to go through bankruptcy. I worked for a law firm. I learned all that stuff. Being a person, that raises Black Angus cows, people actually enjoy coming out to my farm. I moved my office to my farm about 2 years ago. I built a building here on the farm, and people are like, "Oh," because I was concerned, Roger. I was like, "Are people going to?" Because I was in a nice, Class A office space, nice. I was like, "Yeah, this is going to be good for me, but our clients really going to like this." And the thing I keep on hearing, Ralph, this is a place of peace.
Mm-hmm.
Like I pull down your driveway and I see a couple Black Angus cows out there. I've had people say to me, "Can I go pet the cows?" I'm like, "Well, I don't really have time to help you do that today." But so Roger, to answer your question, I think it's all about being well-rounded. And they know that for me, it's not just the numbers. We have to be good at that. Like we have to be good at our trade. We have to know what we're doing. We have to be good at doing a tax return, good at doing a profit and loss statement, all of those things. But it's that next step. It's that next level that person who is, let's give you an example. Let's say he's running an HVAC business, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he's really good at turning the wrenches. He's good at doing all that stuff, but he's a terrible business person, right? If I was just this bean counting accounting fool, I could say to him, "Well, your profit and loss don't make any sense, and your balance sheet." But what I can say to this person is, "Look, I know how you feel. Like every day you're out there slaying dragons, and you're like, I get back at the end of the day, Ralph, I don't have time to do this accounting work." And I say, "Okay, let's partner together. You do what you do well. I'm going to partner with you." So I think that having that diversification, like they'll see me out on a Saturday. They're like, "I see Ralph's out driving a skid loader. Like my accountant drives a skid loader. That's pretty cool." Or, my accountant's out there because I'll do some Facebook Live stuff. I'm out there just talking to the cows. I get a real stressful day. I'll take a walk out back and I'll just kind of hang out with the cows. So I think it just brings the reality to people that like Ralph's just like me.
Well,
Ralph,
what I'm hearing is that you're grounded. My son-in-law, he runs a farm. My daughter's there raising her two daughters, and it's very grounding of everything. When I go to the farm and I visit them, it's nice to be around the animals because it takes you back to the core of God's creation, and it just kind of puts everything in perspective in some ways. And so one of the things that I appreciate from what I'm hearing is from a business point of view, you have that insight that the business owner feels they're heard, they're understood, they're listened to, because it's more than just the accountant that's coming through. It's the business owner. They feel like they're talking to a peer. Now, I stress all the time that as accountants, we're running businesses. Therefore, I define us as entrepreneurs. We should be speaking with our clients as peers. We're running a business as well. But you bring that element, I think, a little bit more clearly to the table simply because you're also running the farm. And they're able to go, "Okay, I think he gets me." And I think that's powerful. So one of the things that I want to stress here is the fact that as a business, if we're able to actually correlate what we're doing with our clients, they'll feel like they actually have a relationship with somebody that can understand them and that they can be open with. And that's valuable when trying to give them input as to the numbers, because now you're able to put this in at least a way that they can understand because it's relatable to them. That's where I'm going with this.
let me give you an example, Roger.
Yeah.
So I told you in my previous life, I ran a credit union.
Yeah.
So I went to school for accounting. This one day I'm sitting at the credit union, I'm the accountant, and the president of the credit union comes over. He goes, "Listen, I got to let the guy that's in charge of lending go." He says, "You want to take a stab at being the vice president of lending?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't know anything about lending." He says, "Well, you'll figure it out." So this one day I'm sitting in my office and I'm trying to work with my loan officers, right? And I said to the loan officers, "Here's what I want you to do. If you want to grow your loan portfolio, share the experience. And what does that look like? So what I mean by that is somebody comes in for a loan. It's easy to be a deal, an order taker. Well, Roger, you want a loan for a F-150 pickup? Okay, be 45,000. I said, no, stop. Here's what you say, Roger. Cool. What kind of truck are you getting, dude? Oh, it's black. Oh, has it got those big tires on it? And you can do the same thing with your accounting clients. Be personable with them. Take an interest in what they're doing, because listen, they're coming to you because they have things that have to be done because the government says they have to do them.
Yep.
But you can share the experience with them, and that will set you up to have clients for life. So I mean to sidetrack you there, Roger, but I think it's sharing the experience. I think sometimes as accountants, we get stuck in this bubble of like, we need to be prim and proper and all that stuff. And that's fine. You need to be professional. Yes. But share that experience. Understand what that person's going through. Understand the excitement when they got their first client, or when they made their first $1 million or whatever it looks. They bought their first truck, their first, and say to them, "Hey, did you get a stripe? Oh yeah, Ralph, I got this wrap on it, man. It looks awesome. My van's out on the street." That's the kind of stuff that makes or break relationships.
I'm going to add to that, because one of the things that I stress, and I do this with the accounting firms I work with, and I do this with my own clients, and it's the act of being curious. The very first part of the relationship is, in the first month, I want to go out to the client's place of business and I want a tour. I want them to, with a bunch of pride, take me around their office, introduce me to their employees. I want to see the workflow. Show me how you do business. Well, it starts here. This person takes the phone call. This person puts this together. I do this over here. And I am always so in awe of, this is their place. This is their expertise. This is what they're phenomenally good at. And so they are the expert, and they take me around and they show me, this is how my back room works. This is how the process is done. This is how we provide this thing. And all of a sudden, the things I'm seeing on the P&L, they have relevance, because I've seen what they've just described. I know who that person is that's over that responsibility. I've seen the machine that's dealing with that. And when they tell me, say 4 months from now, that the machine goes down, I know what machine they're referring to. And when they're telling me about this part, I'm like, oh, I understand the process that it's needing to go through and what part broke in that process. All of a sudden, when they're talking to me, I have relevance, because I took the time to be curious and understand their business. How do they think of me, having now had that tour? Totally different than I'm at a distance, removed from their company. I have no context for what it is they do. No, I've been in their place of business. I've met Sally and Tom and Tim. I know who these individuals are because I met them along the way. This is so critical, I feel, to the relationship you're describing, is just being naturally curious about your clients, going on tour. By the way, what's one of the things that's very fun is, typically when I leave with a good set of swag. They're always happy to hand out. They're always happy to hand out something. And boy, I'll tell you, I'm happy to take it, wear it, do whatever I can, because they're a client of mine, and I'm happy to put on whatever they've given me and wear it with pride, because I'm happy to advertise who they are. So curiosity is key. Take the time to know your clients and go back. Your perspective of your business clients will be so different if you've taken the time to actually go through their business model and physically see it.
Absolutely. And if you listen to them, that's what Dale Carnegie talked about. Take a genuine interest in people. Understand what motivates them. Understand why they got in their business in the first place. And like you said, then when they call you and say, Ralph or Roger, Ralph, whichever, I need to replace this machine. Go, oh yeah, that one you showed me, it stamps all to this. And they're going to be like, oh, Roger gets it. Roger knows what I go through on a daily basis. And I can say to Roger, but Roger, I could buy this other machine and it would do this, this, and this. Well, then by all means, go do it, because you understand, you've seen it. You've had eyes on, you're physically there. It's huge, Roger.
Huge game changer, because so many times no accountant's doing this. That's the difference. That's the difference. All right. So Ralph, I see behind you, you got a picture of your wife. We spoke of marriage and so forth earlier. How has her support in your growing your business, running your business, the farm, the accounting business, been instrumental and helpful?
Well, truth be told, when we first started out, we started out at our dining room table. I left my dad's practice, and I won't say in the middle of the night, but it was kind of like that. And I said to my wife, I said, hey, you want to help me make this accounting practice a go? And she goes, I have no idea what to do. So we went and bought a Dell, a multifunction printer, fax, the whole thing. We set it up at the dining room table. We're looking for office space. But my wife was literally right there with me, hand in hand at the beginning. And that's the other thing. You need to surround yourself with supportive people. Now, and it's not always been like that. Like I'll share with you a story, Roger. And this is a tough one to talk about, but like, I went back to a place where you live what you learn. Okay. And when I was a kid, my dad was a tyrant. I'm just going to be honest about that. Well, and this is all relevant. I'm going to tell you why. So when my wife's working in the practice, like I go back to like that tape recorder goes off, right? It's like, well, we handle it this way. When she made a mistake and I would jump her, like it was terrible, right? And so I'm going to be honest with you. 5 years ago, we split up. We went our separate ways. My wife says, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And we both met other people. We both were engaged to other people, but I'm going to tell you where God came in. So 2 days before our divorce was supposed to be finalized, we connected on the phone and I said, hey, how are you doing? Well, my relationship's a wreck, Ralph. I said, mine is too. Well, guess what, Roger? And it's not perfect, but we got back together. And so now, like I said, next week it'll be 24 years. She has been my rock. That's the truth. She has been something that I didn't deserve what I got. And I was a jerk about it. Like I was a tyrant. I was an abusive jerk. And so that's one of the other things I bring to my practice. I know that I need to be vulnerable because my clients are going through the same sort of thing. When I have a client that's going through a divorce or a separation, like they know, oh, Ralph's been through that. He can help me through that. And so I think that's huge, Roger. And that is be your genuine self, be authentic. And my wife has been great. I mean, like, it's not easy. Listen, like I said a few minutes ago, marriage is not for the people who are weak or are lazy, because every day is a decision. I'm going to put this person ahead of me. And I didn't do a very good job of that at times. I talk about that on my podcast a lot. My wife's like, man, sometimes you overshare, Ralph. I say, yeah, but see, that's the thing about people, Roger. You've been through stuff. I've been through stuff. Everybody's been through stuff. And if we can share that, if we can be vulnerable in that, you can do the same thing in your accounting practice. People will connect with people that they feel a connection to because they've been through the same sort of things. So,
well, as it relates to CFO and advisory services, one of the key elements to that is creating a safe space.
Right.
And as an accounting professional, if you can create that safe space, you're going to be exposed to these various things that you're describing. And oftentimes I have been a marriage counselor. I have been a child counselor of sorts. It's amazing. Once somebody feels comfortable with you, they'll confide with you. And here's where I'm going with that. So often the business success is derailed because of the personal struggles that they experience. And when you're looking at the financials, you're like, the business seems to be out of whack right now. Things aren't, it looks like some things need priority and attention and it's not being given. What's going on? And if they're comfortable enough, they're going to tell you, my life's a mess. I've got other things that are distracting me from the business. I can't work on the business. I'm not putting the time and attention into it because of challenges I'm facing elsewhere. This is what's going on with my parents. This is what's going on with my siblings. This is what's going on at home. These are the things I'm facing. And then they open up to you. And if they trust you and confide in you, they'll be interested in your perspective. Why? Because like you said, we all have life experiences and oftentimes they can contribute to the conversation. And if you're listening well enough, you'll find opportunities to just simply share, here's what I've noticed and seen. And it's not that you're telling them what to do. You're just, first of all, acknowledging they're not alone. They're feeling heard. And oftentimes what they're just needing to know is that people care. And once they've spoken, I have so often seen they've answered their own questions. I didn't have to give them an answer. I'm darn well not going to tell them what to do. But just the conversation alone, the fact that you provided that safe environment allowed them to talk through something they couldn't discuss with anyone else. Now, clearly, if they need professional help, I'm going to say, maybe
Sure.
you need to get some professional help here. But it's nice to just be a friend. And that's one of the things that's so helpful. And this brings us full circle back what we were saying at the very beginning. The fact that you're an accountant is just second nature to the fact that you're building personal relationships, providing a quality service, and it's accounting that you're good at. That's the talent you have.
Yeah, Roger,
So,
I really feel like I'm a coach.
yeah.
And I think that most accountants need to start thinking in those terms. You're a coach. If you coach a football team, what do? You go look at your football squad and you say, this person's talented with this. This person's talented with this. This person needs that little coaching. This person needs a pat on the back. This one needs this. If you look at your accounting practice and you look at your clients as a coach, then you'll be successful because you can't treat everybody the same because every client's different.
Yeah.
Every person on that football team is different. So I 100% agree with you, Roger. That's exactly where we're at.
This is beautiful. We've had a wonderful conversation. I'm going to wrap it up. I've got one more question for you, and then I'm going to tie some loose ends up here. Last question. What are you grateful for?
Oh, wow. I'm grateful for my salvation. I'm grateful that I'm saved by grace. Nothing that I'm going to do to get it. Jesus just said to me, he says, Ralph, if you want to come along with me, just say the word and you're mine. That's what I'm grateful for, Roger.
Amen. No, beautiful. That grace that is offered to each of us. and so many people just don't embrace, is so valuable because it gives you a peace, that peace of knowing in the end everything's going to be fine. In fact, I would even dare say, even right now, everything's totally fine. You can be at peace. So I completely agree with you, and I am grateful for the saving grace that I have in my Lord Jesus Christ as well. So thank you for that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap it up with a few things. First of all, I'm going to just do a quick offer here. This podcast is promoted by Universal Accounting Center, and Ralph has his episode. So we're going to talk about each of those. First of all, Universal Accounting Center is a school, post-secondary school for accounting professionals, where we work with individuals to offer the training, certifications, the support that you need in order to operate successfully the premier accounting firm in your area. Whether it's for you as a business owner or the staff that you have that need the training, reach out to Universal Accounting Center and get the training so that you can have on your team professional bookkeepers, professional tax preparers, and have the ability to not only just effectively market those clients, but also retain them and get them basically the services that they're needing, and all with the emphasis of getting paid what you're worth. Now, with regards to Universal Accounting Center, there are some free resources available. It's basically free resources such as the book In the Black, 9 Principles to Make Your Business Profitable, as well as Your Strategic Accountant. I invite you to go get a copy of each of these 2 free books that you can get. Also, with regards to Ralph, he has a book, Mastering Finances. You can actually go to the episode description and find all of the details you need in order to take advantage of each of these offers. So go to universalaccounting.com for the free resources, and also today's episode description for these free offers. Ralph, what would you like to say about the book, Mastering Finances?
Yeah, so it's a 47-page, a 30,000-foot view. If you feel like your finances are a mess, I'm going to tell you to get that book. You just go right to our website, and it will change your dynamic. It's not going to have all the answers, but it's going to be that 30,000-foot view of, okay, how do I get started? Because every journey starts with the first step.
I love it. I love it. And with that being said, I invite you to also, at the free resource section, take advantage of the turnkey business plan for accounting professionals. It'll give you the turnkey steps you need to build the premier accounting firm in your area. That said, I'm just going to do a summary of our conversation. Clearly, I'm very pleased to have had Ralph on the show. I love the fact that we were able to begin with his journey at age 8, actually realizing that, dad's doing it. Let's do accounting, and could see the value in pursuing that career. I love the fact that after his journey out working for the law firm and for the credit union and so forth, he actually found that opportunity to go back with his dad, but ultimately leave and start his own business. And in doing so, he's created a great farm with the Angus beef, but also at the same time offering accounting services. And it all hinges on this very important point, and it's recognizing that this is a people business. It's caring about the people that we work with and serve, and realizing that if we have a curiosity for them and what they're doing and can help them, it'll actually build lifelong relationships. I like the fact that we talked about this from a personal perspective, that what we're doing is a legacy. And if we can actually work with and help our people not only plan for their futures and how they're going to pay for their college or their children's colleges and so forth, we can actually have a legacy, realizing that we're at that pinnacle, that apex of being able to give back. And I like the fact that he sees his life as a journey of basically serving others and blessing those around him. The other thing I also liked is the fact that this comes with challenges and struggles. And I appreciate the fact that as working with our clients, we just need to be vulnerable, open, and as we're raw and real, we're going to be able to relate with them at that genuine level where we're able to help one another and basically go through this journey together, and more importantly, kind of help through those challenges that we all face. And Ralph was very, very transparent and open as to his struggles and how he ultimately, in the end, just turned himself over to God, and in doing so found peace. And I think all of that was very, very appropriate. So thank you, Ralph, for sharing. Is there a final thought that you'd like to leave with?
No, I would just say, if you don't know Jesus, just ask him to come into your life and he will do it. It's really that simple.
Very good. Ralph, thanks for being here on the show. I'm going to wrap this up by just mentioning a few quick things. One, we have, as I stated earlier, free resources. Go to universalaccounting.com. There in the navigation of the website, you'll see free resources. Take advantage of those. Also there, you're going to find the podcast. If you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast. We'd love to have you listen each and every week as we listen to and speak with the experts, finding out what it is we can be doing to work on our business to build a premier accounting firm in the area. In that website, you'll actually find playlists, highlights that we've compiled, basically things that you can go dive deep into as it relates to your current situation as you're working on your business, whether it's marketing, selling, tech stacks, staff training, mental health. Go there, find the playlist, binge listen, and take advantage of those various episodes that we've filmed over the years. The other thing I want to invite you to do is, as it relates to Universal Accounting, is there's a conference, GrowCon. GrowCon is an annual event for owners of bookkeeping, accounting, and tax businesses. I invite you to join us. Go into the website navigation and you'll see information related to GrowCon and register. It's here that we're going to have the experts on the stage sharing with us the things that we need to be doing to work on our business. We also will have you visit and interact, network with your peers, those individuals like you that are out there running successful businesses, seeing what it is you could be doing to do better at servicing your clients, as well as meet the staff here at Universal Accounting Center, those individuals who are committed to actually helping you be in business for yourself, but not by yourself with Universal Accounting. The other thing I want to emphasize is if you'd like to discuss these or other principles that we have on the show, feel free to reach out to us directly. You can contact us at Universal Accounting by calling 801-265-3777, or you can visit us at universalaccountingschool.com. All that being said, have a beautiful day. God bless, and most importantly, be safe out there. Ralph, that was awesome.
Oh, cool. I thought we had a good flow, my friend.
I agree. That was wonderful. So here's what I'm going to have you do now.
Yep.
Go to the chat, and I have that little script there. I'm going to have you record that promo piece when you're ready.
Sure. You ready?
Yep.
This is Ralph Estep, and I just got done recording with Roger an episode of Building Your Premier Accounting Firm, and we discussed what it's all about to build that successful accounting firm and to live that journey and to build those relationships. So I invite you to listen and join us on our journey.
Ralph, that was awesome.